Statement, Andrew Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I start by congratulating you, Mr. Speaker, on your very successful visit early last week to St Helena. Mr. Speaker, with permission, I will update the House on the situation in Israel and the Occupied Palestinian Territories. Let me begin, Mr. Speaker, by reiterating Israel's right to defend itself against Hamas. We condemn the slaughter, abuse and gender-based violence perpetrated on the 7th of October 2023. Hamas's use of civilian areas, their continued failure to release hostages, and their ongoing launching of attacks into Israel. We equally are deeply concerned by the humanitarian situation in Gaza, with tens of thousands of innocent civilians killed and injured. Mr. Speaker, the most effective way to end the fighting in Gaza, the absolute focus of our diplomatic efforts right now, is to agree an immediate humanitarian pause. This would allow for the safe release of hostages and a significant increase in the aid going to Gaza. Crucially, it would also provide a vital opportunity to establish the conditions for a genuinely long-term and sustainable ceasefire without a return to destruction, fighting and loss of life. That, Mr. Speaker, is the position shared by our close partners. It is an outcome that we believe is in reach right now, and we urge all sides to seize it. Many people may ask, including some in this House, why call for a pause but not an immediate ceasefire? We do not believe that doing so, hoping it somehow becomes permanent, is the way forward. Simply calling for a ceasefire will not make it happen. There is a different and better way to stop the fighting permanently, to push for a pause, and then in that pause secure the sustainable ceasefire that can hold for the longer term without a return to the fighting. The British government has set out the vital elements to achieve a lasting peace: the release of all hostages, the removal of Hamas's capacity to launch attacks against Israel, Hamas no longer being in charge of Gaza, the formation of a new Palestinian government for the West Bank and Gaza, accompanied by an international support package, and a political horizon which provides a credible and irreversible pathway towards a two-state solution. Once we secure a pause, Mr. Speaker, we will need to take action on all of these elements to create irreversible momentum towards peace. Meanwhile, I want to stress that Britain and our partners continue to do all we can to alleviate the suffering. We have trebled our aid commitment this financial year, and we are doing everything we can to get more aid in and open more crossings. Last week, Britain and Jordan airdropped life-saving aid to a hospital in northern Gaza. 4 tons of vital supplies were provided in the airdrop, including medicines, fuel and food for hospital patients and staff. The Tel Al-Hawa hospital, set up by the Jordanian Armed Forces, is located in Gaza City and has treated thousands of patients since the start of the crisis. Women are bearing the brunt of the desperate humanitarian situation in Gaza today. Many thousands are pregnant and will be worrying about delivering their babies safely. That's why, over the weekend, we also announced £4.25 million in new funding for the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency in response to an appeal for the Occupied Palestinian Territories. This new UK funding will help make giving birth safer and improve the lives of mothers and their newborn babies. It is clear, however, Mr. Speaker, that the flow of aid needs to be rapidly and significantly scaled up. We have reiterated the need for Israel to open more crossing points into Gaza, for Nitzana and Kerem Shalom to be open for longer, and for Israel to support the UN to distribute aid effectively across the whole of Gaza. The Foreign Secretary's representative for humanitarian affairs in the occupied Palestinian territories, Mark Bryson Richardson, is based in the region and is working intensively to address the blockages preventing more aid reaching Gaza. We also continue to urge Israel to limit its operations to military targets and avoid harming civilians and destroying homes. And we have expressed our deep concern about the prospects of a military incursion into Rafah and its consequences. Over half of Gaza's population, Mr. Speaker, are sheltering in the area, including more than 600,000 children. They have nowhere to go, and the Rafah crossing remains vital to ensure aid can reach the people who so desperately need it. Mr. Speaker, the path to a long-term solution will not be easy. Ultimately, a two-state solution is the best way to ensure safety and security for both Israelis and Palestinians. The Foreign Secretary underlined this at the G20 Foreign Ministers meeting in Rio last week, and the Prime Minister and all ministerial colleagues will continue to press for this in engagements with regional partners, including with Prime Minister Netanyahu. We welcome the prospect of further normalisation agreements between Israel and Arab partners. We are committed to supporting their enduring success and to supporting efforts to ensure normalisation delivers benefits for the Palestinians as well. Our long-standing position remains that we will recognise a Palestinian state at a time that is most conducive to the peace process. The Palestinian Authority has an important long-term role to play and will need continued support from us and our partners, but it must also take concrete steps on reform. The Palestinian people need a technocratic and effective administration that can win the confidence of the people of Gaza. We stand ready, Mr. Speaker, to support the Palestinian Authority to achieve this aim, following the announcement of the Prime Minister and previous set of ministers' resignation yesterday. We also remain concerned about the situation in the West Bank and have taken action in response to extremist settler violence. Let me end, Mr. Speaker, by repeating our commitment to finding a lasting resolution to this conflict that ensures Israelis and Palestinians can live in the future with dignity and security. The goal of our diplomacy in the Middle East is to see an end to the fighting and to create a permanent peace based on a new political horizon for the region. We will continue working tirelessly to make this happen.